Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Travis, and you can see I am standing in front of an automatic transmission. This is a 47RH 4-speed out of a 95 Dodge Cummins that we are going to be doing a DIY rebuild on. But we're going to be DIY rebuilding it to handle 600 horsepower. If you watched the last video, we were working on the engine side of things. So this is sort of a series we're doing where I took this junkyard truck. It was a totally junked out 95 Cummins with no title. Every panel was dented and messed up. Bumper was caved in. Driver's door was missing. Interior was jacked up. The cab was dented up. It had like a homemade flatbed on it. Like it was just a junkyard truck. So I decided to do a Cummins build with it. We put all the parts necessary on this thing to make it put out 650 horsepower. And now that we're done with the engine side of things, we have to do the transmission side of things so that we don't explode it all over the ground. So this transmission kit and everything that I did to the engine all has come from Power Driven Diesel. They were nice enough to work with me, give me some discounts on parts so that I could make this happen. And so I bought their 650 horsepower compatible automatic transmission rebuild kit. So it comes with everything. It's essentially just like a rebuild kit you would get for any other transmission, except the parts that are in this one are made to handle more power. So you have your Overdrive clutch pack, you have Overdrive brake clutch pack, you have all the clutches you would put in regularly, but these ones are a little different and they're a little beefier. We have a billet input shaft. This is what goes into the spline of the torque converter. We have a new band, filter, clutches, front clutch stepped plate, billet struts, just stronger struts and levers and servos, all the spaghetti seals right here, and then this is like the output shaft seal. This is going to be the most interesting part of this, which I've never done before. So this kit right here is the shift kit, valve body build kit. So this is to beef up the valve body. So this shift kit changes the valve body a little bit to where it shifts a little harder, better, and you can change your shift points. But I think the most interesting part of this kit, which I'm going to be very interested to see how they do this, is it makes it to where you can lock up your torque converter in second, third, and fourth. Because from the factory, the torque converter locks up in overdrive, like topped out in overdrive. So this whole unit right here that connects to the back of the case is the overdrive unit. So the book says you can take these 7 bolts off and then just pop the OD housing off, but it'll rotate a little bit, but it's stuck on something, so that's obviously not true. We're gonna have to disassemble it more to get the housing off. I don't know why it never mentions that, because that thing is not coming off. This is why men don't read instructions in the first place, because half the time they're not even right when you do read them. This is just the filter. So I took all 10 bolts out that hold the valve body in. They're all around the housing of it. Let's go put this valve body on the table. Maybe now the OD unit will come off. They never said that you had to take the valve body out and unhook it. This little arm was connected to it. There's no way that would have ever came out. So, whatever. So, this is the thrust bearing. See how it turns inside of itself? So this is a bearing, and then the plate. So this is a thrust plate bearing. They sit inside here, and the piston. Alright, so that's the overdrive apply piston. Set these over on our table. And this is what they call an accumulator assembly. Supposed to remove these. No spring on bottom. Some models have a spring on the bottom, I guess. This one does not. Okay, so check this out. Next, it tells us it wants us to take out our band adjusting screws. There's one here, right? So there's a lock nut and a stud, and then there's one for this band right here, and you can see that it goes on the outside of the case and goes in. So you can see there's a gap right here, right? And this is a band. So that's a band and that's a band. And you can see sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, your transmission's shifting funny. You know, sometimes you need to adjust the bands in your transmission. It's not talking about like a guitar string or something like that. That's what this is, right? So it's got clutch material on the inside. It's got these two kind of like hooks on it. And that's literally what this is. And sometimes these servos right here, they actuate and unactuate, actuate and unactuate, and sometimes they'll put pressure on that band, and it sort of acts like its own little clutch. And it'll sometimes stop the drum from turning. That's what the band goes around. All up in that housing, it goes around a drum that turns. You see I'm moving this one by hand. This would be done by fluid pressure when it's running, right? Sometimes it'll bam, bam, you know? You can see this band. See how it's shifting? It'll tighten up and stop certain components from moving when it doesn't want them to. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to turn them both out at the same time because I don't want to lose my measurement. I don't know how they are torqued or adjusted, but I didn't want to change the adjustment, so I wanted them to come out at the same time. Okay, so that one, turn the transmission, and let's see. Oh, well, that band's loose. I think the front pump cover came loose, which is, I mean, it's all right because we were going to take that out right now anyway. That was our next thing. Yeah, it kind of already did it for us. So here's our front pump housing gasket. Here's that band. Front indirect drive. Kind of got a hair bit ahead of ourselves. I didn't mean, usually you have to take that out with a slide hammer. It doesn't usually always come crashing down. think this is our low reverse band. I think. Okay, we only have a few more things to take apart before it's like completely disassembled. We have this to take off, and we have the servos to take off. I forgot what this is called. Hold on, let me look. This is the Overdrive clutch piston retainer. Okay, that's off. There's two band engaging arms, and I'm only going to take this one out because there's a new billet one in the kit. The other one, I don't know. I can't really see a reason why I got to take it out. This pin comes out, arm comes off. Oop, that wasn't supposed to happen. Let's see, the front servo and the rear. Oh, dude, I had it out too. Okay, I'd say she's disassembled now. So now that all the components are kind of out on the table, we can rebuild them sort of in different units. So there's two sets of clutches in the overdrive unit, and then I think there's two sets of clutches in that front drum. So overdrive brake clutch, overdrive direct clutch. So these two are going to go in that housing, the tail shaft housing, and then forward drum, direct drum are going to go in there. So let's put it on the table and take it apart. I'll show you some things. Have our clip. Let's just pull it all out as a unit. And we have this wave. It's almost like a pressure washer, like almost like a clutch, where it's constantly sprung. Wavy retaining ring. It's wavy on purpose. It's not bent. This is the apply piston, the clutch apply piston. Moves like that. It doesn't turn anything. Its main function is this, in and out. Transmissions really have three major components. They have clutch packs, planetaries, and then the valve body. The valve body is the brain that sends fluid to different areas to engage one clutch, disengage one, engage another, disengage another. And what it's doing is when it's engaging one clutch, it's sending fluid pressure to, say, this piston. Boom, pushes it out, and then it pushes those clutches together, and it will not allow it to rotate independently anymore. Forces everything to rotate as one, and it gives you a certain gear. So here's the clutch apply piston. This will now come out. And then we can get our new billet input shaft, which is this. Here's the new one. This clutch apply piston has a seal around it, and you see how it's angled up. When the fluid pressure comes in from the back, the fluid is trying to escape, but really it's just pressing this flap up against the housing of the drum, so the fluid can't escape, and instead it pushes it forward. If you put this seal in backwards, and fluid will go right past it because it's pushing the flap down. It can push it down easily, but pushing it this way, it grabs and it lets it go back and forth. Still feels good, but I can tell that it's starting to get a little stiff. Like, it would have worked fine, but I can just feel it. Here's the new seals on the clutch apply piston. We're going to put it in, and you got to be careful when you're doing this, because if you've ever done like a rebuild on a wheel cylinder, even if you haven't, if you just shove this in there, there's a check ball in there. If you shove this in there and you don't even care, what you can do is you can fold that flap forward, and then fluid will get past it and you won't have a gear. So you have to make sure when you're putting it in there that you sort of like lip it around, you know, real careful. It's probably good to put some tranny fluid on here just to help with lubricity. I bought this used. I checked the inside to make sure there was nothing fishy in there, because we've had that happen once. There it is. Nice and easy. So here's the old one and the new one. I didn't see another one of these in there, so we'll reuse this. Now for the clutches. So if you look how these are made, you have your stepped plate, and then you have the meat of the operation. So clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel. That's how it always is. Clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel. So this steel is locked into the case, right? So it does not turn in the case. It has no teeth on the inside, only the outside. The clutches have no teeth on the outside, but they have teeth on the inside. So how these sit in here is like this, and this drum is allowed to rotate just like this. So this can stay stationary, and this can rotate inside of itself. But then when this apply piston comes up and this is all together and these clutches have nowhere to go and the retaining ring is in here, it pushes all the clutches together so that they can no longer do this, and it will start rotating this. They can no longer rotate independently once that apply piston comes out. But when it's not, the steels and the clutches can rotate independently of each other. And then the plates. Now it's together right. All right. So if you look at the new shaft and the old shaft, okay, this one has grooves in it, and it should have some holes right here. Another cool technology that transmissions use is almost like piston rings, but for transmission fluid. So let's get this one out of the way real quick. Get this old one up here. There's little rings right here. See, they got these little clips. See how it compresses like that? This will actually go probably on the inside of something that goes on top of it, and this can rotate. So this will be up against something else that goes on top, and this can rotate freely. The purpose of the ring is fluid can come in here, but it can't go out these rings, and it creates a seal. So See how I just undid one? Push this side in and you push the back side out, it undoes them. New shaft gets 3 seals. Rings, I should say. Let's see if we can snap it. Alright. Okay, so we got our 3 oil seal rings on. We have the clutches in, retaining ring, snap ring. That drum is rebuilt. That is the forward drum clutch pack rear. Now we have the direct drum clutch pack front, which is this guy. I was doing a little diagnosticating, a little looking around, okay? If you look in the book, shows it right here. See how the little notches are on the outside? Notches on the outside. This is the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clutches. Last clutch on the outside. I'm looking hard at this, and can you see what I see? Let me get a light. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the 5th row? And then if you notice, see all that play? Somebody rebuilt this transmission and didn't put all the clutches in it. Because if you look at this, there's no play. Like, you can't go back and forth with this. That piston only comes out yay far to engage those clutches. I mean, there's no play in there. Whatever gear this controlled, there probably was no gear. Snap ring, plate. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Ooh, look at that clutch. Yeah, this transmission wasn't working. See that? That material's almost completely gone. See, like, look at this one. See how you can still see the grooves in it? That's almost down to the metal. Whatever gear that controlled wasn't working. This transmission was shot. It was shot. I didn't even know. Whoa, interesting. Okay, so even though we got the clutches out of this drum, we still have to take it apart further. So this has to come out, and this in the very bottom is an apply piston, like what we saw earlier. We kind of got to do this tricky thing. They make a tool for this that I obviously don't have that pushes this down while you can get this ring out, and then you can let it up, and then everything comes apart. So if you look at this, there's actually springs under there. You see that? So this is under pressure like right now, and the only thing keeping it together is this ring right here. So I was thinking we could make a tool. I'll throw a picture up of what the tool actually looks like that I don't have, and I'm thinking maybe we can make something that utilizes these two things. So now that we have the nuts on them, see we have our adjustment, so you can put them in. Maybe there's different sizes, you know, some are bigger, smaller. I might do a different transmission, I don't know. You know, so here you go, you can adjust them out, but the problem is we're hitting the drum. But how these tools are actually made is like they're kind of cut like a hemisphere. Maybe we can cut these into a semicircle and maybe they'll fit. Nice. Not the most advanced tool in the world, but it did the trick. So 3, miss 2, 3, miss 2, 3, miss 2. That's what it says in the book too. So now we can get this apply piston. Finally. Okay, that is the bare inside of the drum. So we got another lip seal. Right, and the lip faces down because the fluid comes from the bottom and pushes up, so we don't want it facing this way. Fluid will get past it. You want it facing down so that it tries to push the lip up. Got the new lip seal on this one. See how it's facing out like that? If you see, we're not going to be able to lip it in because the piston itself is in the way. So if you see that machined surface right there where it's darker right here, it's like a ledge, like an angled ledge, so that you should be able to push the piston in without having to lip it in. That's what that surface is there for. So you should be able to feel it. Like that. See, if you didn't know to push that down like that, you'd have put this all together and you wouldn't have been able to get your snap ring in, and you'd have been wondering why it won't fit. So all that work just for us to have to put this back in. Redonkulous. See that? That's heat. If you take a torch to a piece of metal, it starts looking like that, that discoloration. That's heat. That brown is also heat. It got really hot here and right there. So somebody was really revving it, giving it everything she had, and burning up clutches. Yeah, I bet this thing was slipping. Ooh, whoa, see that? Gone. There's supposed to be clutch material on both sides. So a difference that we're adding right now that's going to let us handle more horsepower than factory is what we just did with these clutches, and I'll tell you. So from the book, right, if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clutches, right? So if you look, there was 5 clutches originally, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clutches now. It's got more friction, more surface area for friction. Now when you go to put this last plate in, see how thick it is? When you put this in there, see how you can't see the ring? You can't get your snap ring in. So what they did was they sent a slightly thinner ring. So if I could get it in there, okay. Now you can see your groove for your ring. Now I can get my ring in there and we have an extra clutch. See that? No slack. Can't pull it up and down. There's none of that blah, 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 clackety clack. It's all solid. Snap ring fits in perfect. Now we're going to be taking apart these planetaries. So the planetaries is where you get your gear ratios, okay? These are the real magic behind how a transmission works. Alright, so the shaft just comes right out of the back, right? Okay, there's a copper thrust washer on the back of that. I want to make sure we remember that. Ooh. Okay, so let's kind of put these in order of appearance here. This one looks worn out. See that? Either got hot or something was spinning up against it, and heat and stress and something. Good thing we took this apart, even though there's not like a ton to it. Is there anything else? Oh, yep. And that's all she wrote on that. The old one and the new one have 4 indentations. So I'm saying that's what we need there. As far as this one goes, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 hooks, 3 hooks, indentations, whatever. So that'll go there. So in this assembly, there's actually 2 sets of planetaries, okay? In your planetaries, you have a ring gear, planetaries, and a sun gear. So the ring, think about it like your ring finger. The ring goes around all the gears. Your ring goes around your whole finger. And the planets go directly inside the ring gear. And then the planets revolve around what? The sun. The sun is always in the middle. This is how you get your different gear ratios. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how planetaries work. If I hold the ring gear from moving and I move the drum, let's see what the gear ratio is. So we got 1. Still haven't done a full revolution on this guy. 2. 3. And we're almost at 1. So this is like 2.98 to 1 or something like that. If we hold the ring gear, turn the drum, we get 2.98 to 1 gear ratio. So what happens if I hold the sun gear and move the drum? Now you can see that would be reverse. So we got 1, 2. So that's like 2.14 to 1 reverse ratio. What happens if we hold the drum and turn the ring gear? One and a half turns of the ring gear to 1, so 1.5 to 1 we'll say. What the transmission is doing is, depending on what gear ratio it asks for, the clutches are stopping one from moving and allowing 2 others to move. And when it goes into a different gear, it will stop another one and let the other 2 move. And that is how you get your different gear ratios. Now the gear ratios I just described to you are not the gear ratios that come out of the output shaft for your gears. That's why it has 2 sets. It's using this one and the one down here in tandem to get the ultimate output shaft ratio that it's asking for. Hope that makes sense. So this is like neutral, and then whenever you put it in park, like that's park. Then whenever you pull your lever, releases it, like that. This snap ring comes out, and then these clutches come out. So snap ring, steel clutch just like the others. These ones look pretty good. You can still see the writing on them. The overdrive units in these are pretty friggin' tough. I see a little burn. Not burn, I don't know, it looks discolored a little bit, but Well, I guess there it went. So we have to actually push this down, undo the snap rings, and then let it up. There's a giant spring in there that's compressed like 800 pounds or something like that. So see it going down? Okay. Snap ring number 1. There it is. Clutches and steels. These clutches don't look bad. Still see the grooves in them. See that spring? You believe that thing's in there? Might not look big on camera, but to find that in a transmission, this is enough to be a coil spring for a Mini Cooper. Another set of Planetaries, sun gear, planets ring. So we have the overdrive housing pretty much empty. We have all the components laid out how they came apart on the table. So now it's just do everything in reverse. So we have a new thrust bearing and we have a new sprag clutch. It allows movement in one direction but not the other. See, what the sprag does is it allows you to go one way, not the other. So see, locks up. Got the new clutch stack on, and this hub also came with an extra clutch. So instead of, I think, 10 clutches, there's 11 or something.
What do you think that sign's worth as that Chevy sign? Or Chevy or GMC?
Chevy.
What's it worth?
Well, nowhere near a straight trade. Alright. That one's in. Bingo. Alright, so we have the overdrive unit all assembled. Now what we're going to have to do is put this up on here and let's see. Put the case over it. There it is. Boom, snap ring is in. Now we can put our 2 snap rings in that we took out. Then our wavy. So we got 6 instead of 5. And we have our little snap ring. Huh. It's not wanting to fit. Something's not right. Here's the front pump. There's 2, 4, 6 bolts here, and then it's just 2 gears that create the pumping action. I'm not going to take this apart. Nothing looks damaged in there. Those front pumps are pretty indestructible. It's like an oil pump. So basically there's this lip seal, and it's a square. This one's not like directional like the clutches are. This one just goes against the housing and stops fluid from coming out of it, out of the front of the tranny. So there's that. Got the other one right here. There's really no mistaking it. It's the only giant square seal in the kit. Lipped around, it's not twisted in any way. We can get this seal out.
You got to put a front pump bushing in it?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm going to do the seal.
I know, but you're putting the front pump bushing in it?
Where does that go? Behind that?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to disassemble it?
Yeah, just put a mark on it.
Well, I just told everybody I wasn't going to disassemble it.
Who'd you tell?
Oh, I told YouTube. You know, it's in the video. I didn't want to disassemble it. So now I got to do it. I thought.
You thought.
Yeah.
You thought you was going to get away with something.
Well, if Dad wouldn't have showed up, I'd have got away with it. I didn't want to take it apart. I didn't think I needed to, but yeah, now that you say that, you know, there's...
You got to make sure that them reline, but I think they're all right. Yeah, that... You don't know, you know, that front bump, I mean, the front seal was obviously out. So you go to all that trouble to put that new front seal in, and then you find out that, you know, it's leaking because front pump bushing's wallered out.
Is that normal?
What? Yeah, I don't think that's hurting anything. Yeah, you're going to want to cram that thing full of Vaseline.
Vaseline.
Yeah. Be sure you know pay attention to what direction they go, because you can flip them.
You'll have fluid flowing backwards through the transmission, so you'll get 4 gears in reverse and 1 gear in forward.
Well, what'll happen is you won't be able to get that torque converter all the way in there.
Yeah, that bushing is toast.
Let me see. Yeah, see it? It's all jacked up.
See, because the one that's supposed to go in, it's got dimples in it. See how there's these little dimples in it? If you look at this, I mean, it wore it completely off. Yeah, let's make sure this is right. Yeah. Good thing we did that.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it.
Uh-huh, I know it.
I was right on my way.
I know it, I know it.
You caught me at a bad time. You know, you caught me when I was down, but I was really about to do it.
I know it. There you go. Now you're going to need to get something real clean. Real clean on the rounded end. Then just tap that on each side to where it's indentioned to where it can't, and make sure you kind of hold it to the edge a little bit so you don't give it a good hard quick wrap. don't go. I mean, that's good, as long as it can't move. Oh yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. Now take and put it on your torque converter and make sure that it ain't distorted or anything. Just make sure it spins. Make sure it ain't got no. It's not catching, you know. There you go.
Filling it full of Vaseline creates a seal, and it'll create suction when it starts to go. And if it doesn't have fluid in it, sometimes it's hard for them to pick up fluid if there's air in it. But if there's Vaseline dissolves, and it just helps create a seal in a vacuum to pull fluid at the start.
Vaseline's harmless.
Yeah, Vaseline's harmless.
You have a book on that, on the torque specs?
So that one right there has got everything in it. I think it's 15 foot-pounds. So I think we can finally start reassembly. Got the case up here. Everything is rebuilt. We'll do the servos and stuff as we go along, but I think now we can start putting things back together. So the first thing we're putting in is our low reverse band. Got a new sprag.
Did you pour tranny fluid on it?
Oh.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I forgot there's some tranny fluid in there. After installation, reverse drum should freewheel clockwise and lock counterclockwise.
It's just like the Bendix on a starter.
Clockwise, right? This way we got motion, counterclockwise, no motion. So now the overdrive piston retainer, I think, goes in.
Steady as you go, huh?
Yeah.
A little bit here, a little bit there.
Now we can put this guy in. Has tabs on it. And we can put in this snap ring. Now we can put in our Planetary assembly. Oopsies. A little tranny fluid. So now we're about to put the band here, but before that, I think we need to put this new billet actuating lever in there. Which will go here. Billet actuating arm in. Now a band can go in, which I did douse in transmission fluid. I got the front pump gasket in, and now it's time to set the front pump right on top. Oop. Well, that just kind of went in. Alright, I got the tranny flipped up on the bell housing. The front pump bolts are all tight, and I got a new lip seal on this. Well, these are torqued to the overdrive apply housing to case. Then here's the overdrive apply piston.
pick that up? You want me to wipe it off?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. Unless it's that spline there, it's just...
So I took the overdrive back out of the overdrive housing because we were hitting something solid, and this totally slipped my mind. I totally overlooked this. I forgot that Dad and me did this when we rebuilt the transmission in his 93 some years ago. But there's splines in there that have to align. Let me try and get you in there. There's splines in there that have to align, and you see how I have them directly opposed? It's when I'm trying to put it on, the second set of splines, it's hitting them. So we're gonna have to take this back apart, somehow align it. There's a tool for it, but I obviously don't have it. All right, so we took the overdrive apart, aligned those splines, and we got it back together. And before I put the actual overdrive unit in the housing, I put it over the splines to see if it would work, so I'm pretty sure this is gonna work.
As you're letting it down, I'll try to struggle a couple of bolts so you don't misalign them on the gasket. Now, are you sure you're not backwards?
I might be.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, wait a minute. It's starting to go, I think. Hold on.
There. The two, these like tabs or whatever, they go on the very top. I don't know what those tabs are for, but...
Worst thing about it is you'll figure out where them tabs are supposed to go when it's too late.
So we pretty much have the entire transmission assembled, overdrive unit on, bolted together, front pump on, got the transmission flipped over on its side with the pan on it because the valve body goes on last. But this is going to be a little more in depth than I had thought. We're going to have to modify this a lot. This isn't just taking some things out and switching out a few parts and springs and putting it back together. This is like a whole kit and instruction book, and talking about drilling holes in the valve body. Looking at this big old complicated mess and just, you know, step one. A lot going on here. That's it. And this is a smaller drill bit. We just drilled a hole right here. It says to drill one right here. Okay. So after drilling my hole here and here, this is the TV valve, okay? And I had to grind this down to 200 thousandths. See where I ground it? It did look like this right here. See how that one's kind of got a long stem on it? So this one had to be ground down, and then you replace the orange spring with the yellow spring, and then it goes back into, I believe, this hole. Okay. And then And this guy, just like that. So this is what's connected to the shifter, and then when you go into your different gears, it pulls this out or in. So this comes out, and this one goes in. Like that. It's cut a little differently. I'm sure it has something to do with you being able to start off in second gear or third gear or whatever. You can launch in second gear, and this is probably allowing fluid to flow, so you can do that. And this is the old one. Put a new one of these in. All right. So they look kind of similar but different. It's the best I got for you. I don't know exactly to a T what every single thing is doing and why. All I know, I'm just doing what they tell me, and kind of hope that they did the math. This one gets replaced with a orange one, and it says to reuse these other two, so it's looking like it's just that one that gets replaced. So we got this comes off. We get a new black one. So they want me to plug this hole right here with this aluminum plug. So we're gonna have to do some things.
Dollar store that it's not actually a quart, it's less.
So this little hole right here is your boost pressure, and what they mean by that, to increase the boost pressure, the pressure increase the valve body does when lockup or overdrive is engaged, you can adjust this hole size. Factory, this hole is 0.065 thousandths, 400 to 650 horsepower is 0.085. And this drill bit I measured is like 0.084.
No, I doubt it.
Okay, so with this middle section of the valve body, we have a separator plate, which is right here, and you can see I already put this plug right here that they told me to put in. They sent me like this little aluminum die cut plug, and then you hit it in and it expands it. So we plugged that hole up, and there was a check ball right there that we took out, and taking that check ball out makes firmer engagements into all forward gears, and there was also a check ball here that it said to remove for firmer engagements into reverse. And right now we have to drill out, I think, let's see, what is it, this hole? So drilling out this hole and this hole gives us firmer engagements into second and third, and then drilling out this hole gives us firmer engagement into from 1 to 2. I don't know what difference they're calling for moderate street versus hot street / racing. I don't know what designates which one you should do. I mean, hot street racing, is that like 800 to 1,000 horse? What's moderate street? 650, which is what we're doing? I don't know. You know, maybe I should call and ask. So I called them and they basically said if you're not towing a lot with it, hot street. If you're towing, do moderate. So we're not going to be towing a lot, so we're going to do hot street. They said even if you do tow, it just shifts firm, that's all. So if you're okay with it shifting firm, go ahead with it. So whatever, we're going to do hot street because we're big shots. 1 to 2 hole hot street 0.09 to 0.1. This is 0.9. All right, once we do it, we can't go back. Let me make sure I got it right. Yep, okay. All right, we just added 100 horsepower for the 2-3 holes. So it's this one. All right. Number 2 is next to this one, right? Yep, right there in the diagram. All right. Shift firmness. Here we come. Hate drilling holes in this stuff. It's nerve-wracking. This is the Overdrive accumulator piston. We're going to take this spring out, put this new yellow one in. This itty bitty little bushing, and we're going to put it in this hole and drive it down about 1 inch. Alright, that's about 1 inch. The rebuild kit did come with 2 new Teflon rings for the accumulator piston. So I'll go ahead and okay, so I went ahead and did the last few things it called us to do. Put the valve body together, screwed everything shut nice and tight, and now the last thing to do is to put the filter on. Got our new pan gasket on, and now we can set the pan on. Hopefully we don't have to take this back off, but never know. Well, I'm having to eat my words, not even 3 seconds after saying that. We didn't put the parking rod in. So let me just take the whole valve body off again. Alright, so I torqued all the pan bolts down. We got the transmission on the hoist right now, and I'm about to put the torque converter in. I might put some tranny fluid in it, just kind of prime it up, and then we'll set the torque converter in, and then we should be able to set it in. Need to reposition it. There it is. Okay, so we got the transmission sitting in there nice. Everything went together really good. I didn't have any issues with the transmission going up against the adapter plate, and you know you have everything together correctly. When the torque converter spins, you can see here in this hole. So here's the flex plate, flywheel, whatever, and then there's a bolt hole, right? I can turn the torque converter with my hand. So we know it's in the front pump. If you get all this together and you have to tighten these up to get it to suck up against the engine, and that's a problem. Everything should go together really like butter. So really it's just a matter of torquing these correctly, putting those 3 bolts in, torquing them, and I haven't bought a tranny mount. I should buy one of those. I'll buy one of them. I don't know how old that is. I'm sure that's factory. Torque these torque converter bolts, and then really we should be ready to put the stem in, start putting fluid in it. And I definitely want to put fluid in this because I still have some more troubleshooting to do on the engine, and I don't want to be running this thing on low fluid or no fluid or whatever and burning it up. We still want to make sure there's fluid in this thing. This should be park, reverse, no, it should just be free, and then neutral. All right, so drive, neutral, reverse, park. Park, reverse, neutral. All right, because yeah, you want to fill everything up in neutral, because neutral, I guess you could do it in park, I don't know, but I just always have done it in neutral. Neutral, it sucks everything up into the system. I don't know if you could do it in park, maybe it'd be fine. I just do neutral. I got my fuel on, so we should be able to crank it. Off here. Oh yeah, sucked it right down. So this should be neutral. And we got reverse. Neutral. I got drive. Neutral. Yeah. All right. Successful build. Success. Yes. Everything sounds really good. Seems to be working. Doesn't this thing sound so good? That's the Cummins. This thing is tight. This thing is tight, man. I love this thing. I can't wait till we get a body on this. I'm so stoked. Man, that training rebuild was kind of tough. That valve body, that was the hardest part. I've never done anything like that. So I don't see any leaks. I see some fuel leaks, but that's from the lift pump. This is just the factory one. I got a hot rod modified lift pump to put in this thing, which should be coming. And then I also got an exhaust manifold. So I talked about this in the engine rebuild part, but that stock manifold has to go, not because it doesn't flow or because you need more horsepower. It's because they shrink, and then what happens is they'll expand and contract, especially with the heat we're going to be putting through the exhaust with the turbo and the power and all that. It'll get hot and then it'll contract, but it bows. So they'll bow, and then they can actually break the ears off the head, and if that happens, you're done. Like there's no fixing that. It won't just break the bolt, which you can replace. It'll bust the head. So I don't even want to get close to that. So I ordered a manifold, a 3-piece manifold. It's 3 separate pieces to allow it to expand and contract so it won't break my head. I mean, I didn't really suck. I had to spend that money. It's really just an insurance policy. Some people say exhaust gets you more horsepower, better flow, and all this, but I don't know. Some people claim it doesn't help their spool up. Some people claim it does. I don't think it really adds to your horsepower numbers that much. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know. Hopefully it does, but I'm not buying it for that reason. Exhaust and a lift pump, and that's it for the engine besides tuning. Transmission, not a whole lot of tuning to do there except make sure it goes into all the forward gears. We still need a body. Still looking for that. That's been my problem. So I've had this checklist with me through the entire build. You see there's a lot of stuff that's checked off. That's all the engine stuff we did in the last video. But now, after a lot of work and effort, we can check off 650 horsepower trans kit. We can check off our torque converter, our upgraded triple disc billet torque converter, and we can check off valve body kit. So everything on the list is checked off except the AFC in-cab tuner, which is a tuner you put in the cab whenever we're ready for that, which is like the last thing. That is all the hard things. Wow. But it's not over yet. We got to find a body, put it on. We got to have some kind of gauge set up. But this was really the hurdle for me, was getting all this on. So doing it ourselves, we did save a significant amount of money. Still not cheap, but hey, you got to pay to play if you want to handle 650 horse and over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, you got to do something. You can't cheap out. You can't get an Amazon kit. So I spent between the torque converter, the transmission kit itself, and the valve body kit was about $2,970 some. So almost just shy of three grand. And if you were to buy this from Power Driven, or pick anybody else, I just say Power Driven because that's who I'm getting my parts from. It's about a $600 to $6,500 transmission. If you go online and you want just a drop-in 650 tow transmission or race transmission like this, 47RH, about $6 grand. So we saved about at least $3,000, which is significant savings. But you got to think, like, I can do this every day because I do YouTube full time. But if you take a guy who's got a job and he wants a hot truck or a hot car or something like that, this would take you a month and a half. I mean, I hit it every day, 5-6 days a week doing this. And if you're doing it at night when you get home from work and then doing it on the weekends or something, it would take you, I would say, a month or two at least if you didn't let it out of your sight. Maybe less, but you're not doing it in a weekend. No way. Unless you know how to build transmissions like lickety split, no way you're doing this in a weekend. You cannot be done. So anyway, all in all, saving $3 grand's worth it to me if I did it right. I don't even know, until we get it running and driving. But yeah, you get it. So with that, guys, very much appreciate you all. We will see you in the next one.